See if they can see us now. Technology's fun. I'm gonna click on the TV, see if it comes up here. Not coming up there. I got a commercial. That's a good sign. You got it? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Good. Here we are. All right. Maybe it'll work this time. I don't know if the problem is in YouTube or if it's in Chrome. I just had to keep closing down and restarting Chrome. And it was there. That second time it took so long because there was no go live. Normally it comes up and you press a button that says go live. There was no go live button. I don't know. All right. Start this again. I think Ryder is getting bored with me. So I hope everybody can hear me. If you can hear me and see me and I'm actually moving, put it in the comments. Let me know. So I am on Ryder today. Raven has been working him a lot, doing her magic, working cows, doing all the tarps and ropes and despooking stuff, and getting him more willing to go forward. Been doing a really good job with him. We just got back. I haven't done a live since we got back from the show, have I? I think this is the live since the show. So we just got back from a ranch show. Had quite a few students and horses go. Good show for the students and the horses. And took Sunita just to go. She did really good. And it was a good weekend. But I want to talk today about setting up the right environment to be successful for you as a rider and for your horse. A lot of people have concepts in their head and visions of how they think things should be, but they're not all necessarily correct. They don't all work the way they think they should work. So we're going to talk about that today. So earlier this morning, I looked on my phone to see what the temperature was going to be, and it said it was going to be 65 degrees at 9 o'clock when I was supposed to start. And at 9 o'clock, it was 70 degrees. So a good bit warmer than the forecast said. I think our high today is supposed to be 78. I bet with it being so much warmer so early, it's going to be a little bit warmer today. You notice I didn't drag my arena this morning. I actually have somebody doing some modifications to it, rebuilding it. I had originally had it made, and the teeth on the bottom that drags and breaks it up kept getting shorter and shorter. It's amazing. I had new rods, new stainless steel half-inch. No, they were bigger. I think they were 3/4 inch stainless steel rods welded onto it about a year ago that were 8 inches long, and in a year it wore down to nothing. That's why my arena has been gradually getting shallower and shallower. So I've got somebody rebuilding it. We're going to do a few modifications to it. So my arena for a little while isn't going to be groomed as good as what you're used to seeing. And since the time changed, we got shadows that are different. So we're kind of moving around and trying to not go in and out of shadows, which the sunny side was way further over at 9 o'clock when I was supposed to start. Now it looks like I can stay in the shade. We're going to be fighting that for a few weeks till the sun gets high enough that we're in a shady area. When I'm going back and forth from a shady area to a sunny area, it messes up the camera. The camera can't deal with it. And the camera kind of generally darkens the video. We have it set to light and trying to balance it out, but if we just set it neutral, it just automatically darkens. So if you got any questions about setting up a good, productive environment for you and your horse? Put it in the comments. We'll talk about that. And we'll talk about whatever other horse related questions you have. I want to start by talking about stall and turnout. A lot of people want to see horses out all the time. A lot of trainers want to keep the horses in all the time. And horse needs out time, but a lot of people don't realize when a horse is in training, the horse needs in time. The horse needs to be in a stall, needs to recuperate, recover more mentally than physically. People think about being in a stall, they get claustrophobic, and some horses will start some bad habits. But for the most part, when a horse is in training, it needs that stall time. If it's out 24 hours, it's not really going to accept the training as good on a regular basis because the mind doesn't get the chance to kind of relax and recover. But on the other hand, you can't keep them in the stall all the time. So generally here we're about 12 hours in, 12 hours out. And when I do turn them out, I don't turn any training horses out with other horses. They're turned out in small paddocks. I got got a run in the back and a couple pins in small areas. So they can get out, get some sunshine and move around. But I turn them all out by themselves because it's just too much of a risk for them to be out with another horse, get hurt, and then you have the socialization and getting the herd dynamics and all that if you have a couple of them together. But the other side of that a lot of people don't really have a good grasp of. When a horse first comes in, I really don't want him to spend a whole bunch of time around other horses. I'll put them out here. They can see a couple of horses over the fence. Sometimes there's a horse over here. But the thing about it is the horse needs to want to bond to me as a trainer, wants to look to me for instruction what to do. And I tell people when they get their horse home, keep it in a smaller area. Don't automatically turn it out in the pasture so that it can basically be even reintroduced to the herd that it was in because you're not setting yourself up for a good relationship with your horse. You're not the first person your horse wants to connect with. You turn them out, your horse is going to want to connect to other horses, and then you have to get them back on you. So a lot of people have a really not correct concept about that. I'll get a horse shipped in from somewhere else, somewhere another part of the country for training, and the first few days that it's here, I'll put it out here. This is usually where I put them out first. But their first interactions with other horses, anything else, is with me. I really don't want them interacting with other horses too much. When a horse comes in for training, I have that stall to the right of my wash rack. You've probably seen that in other videos. They can't nose with other horses there. It's kind of an isolation stall. It's somewhat, if something comes in with a runny nose, you can kind of isolate them. But it's really, if they come in with something contagious and they're on the property, most likely it's going to get spread. So that's why I require vaccination records and health certificate and all that kind of stuff. But it's really more from a mental aspect. The I want them to want to come to me. They're in a new place, they're going to be a little bit worried, and I want them to want to look to me, want to come to me for, hey, I need some security. And that goes a really long ways towards setting up everything to be successful. Mr. T that came in, he came to me and I put him in that stall. He was a little bit worried, had a little bit loose stool for a day. And one of his issues was he was pushy. And because he didn't get a chance to nose over to other horses, pin their ears, tell the other horses that, hey, I'm in charge, I'm here, and I'm the big dog here. I went in the stall. He tried to do that to me. I moved his feet, and that set up a better situation going forward. If anybody has any questions about that, put it in the comments. This is really big, And a lot of people have kind of a skewed impression about that first interaction with horses.
Hey, look, Tim. I took my 3-year-old to her first cutting clinic. She's seen cows before, but she just froze up. No forward movement. Is this common and will get better with more exposure?
Okay, she took her 3-year-old to her first cutting clinic. She knows what she's supposed to do, but she kind of froze. No forward, no anything. That's not uncommon at all, especially with Calbred horses. They're almost like an on the spectrum child that gets oversaturated with their senses really easy. That's probably what happened. Her senses were just oversaturated. Just keep hauling her. That's going to get better. Uh, that's just her trying to comprehend the situation that was going on, and that's a really good situation, kind of along the same lines of what I was talking about. That horse, there's so much other stuff going on, and you're there. You want that horse to connect to you, not to any of those other couple hundred horses that's there. So keep hauling the horse. Even if you don't do anything but haul it to a couple of places, get it out, ride it around the warm up pen. I did that with Sunita last weekend. Got her out, rode her in the warm up. She's 3 years old. I could tell that she was nervous. Didn't ride there as good as she rides at home. Never did do anything bad, but kind of a same situation, but on a smaller scale. Lots of stuff going on, so I didn't have her attention. And it's similar with yours. Just keep hauling her. It's not a big deal.
Someone said it would be nice if Melinda had a mic on. Is that not possible?
So that's come up a couple times about Melinda having a mic on. It is possible, and that's why I repeat the questions. And usually, if I forget, Melinda reminds me to repeat the questions. Uh, it's just another piece of technology. That means we got to tie two microphones in and hope they work together. So instead of dealing with another piece of technology that breaks, well, we do it this way where I repeat the question. Um, a lot of videos you watch on YouTube, and not just horse training videos, but horse training in general, but just videos in general, they're producing the videos inside from a studio. And I watch several lives from horse trainers, and there I am the only one that I know of that I can find. There might be another one, only one I can find that does this live from a horse in a training situation. And that there are so many extra technological things there that we have to deal with. So we try to keep the stuff down. Um, so it's a lot of technology challenges, just like the sun. If we was in a studio, we wouldn't be dealing with this shade here. We have a lot of issues with colors, like when we're in the wash rack, and in a live situation, that's just really hard to deal with. And like the computer thing, if the computer was set up in an office where you were doing lives regularly from the office, it'd be a whole lot better situation. So this is just it's a rough situation to deal with and do live, and that's like my microphone. Most Bluetooth microphones are only good up to 50 feet. Well, I ride outside of 50 feet all the time, and I had to try about 6 different microphones that would Bluetooth far enough that we could actually accomplish something. I'm probably close to 50 or 40 or 50 feet away from you right here. So I was riding outside the range of my microphone. So that there's so many things out here that's so different than if we were producing the video in a studio. That's why most of the training videos that you see, um, they're not talking while they're videoing. And the other issue, I mean, I can talk and record the voice here, and then when we edit, put the voice and the video together. But the issue that we had when we tried that, over about a 10-minute video, the audio and the video wasn't syncing together. Towards the end of the video, it was about 15 seconds off. So just technology. So that's how we handle this technology, and maybe we'll figure out how to be better at it. But the other side of that is this is a real life training situation. I don't want this to be like studio quality. I don't want it to be like TV quality. I want it to be like if you're here watching me ride. So that's kind of the situation we set up. Thank you, Mary. Mary says she prefers my organic environment. That's really what I try for. Uh, I want you to see what really goes on. That's why I do these live, and we do the best we can. It's not going to be perfect, and we do the best we can. And obviously, getting started this morning wasn't perfect. That stuff happens, but you see live as it really happens. That's like with Mr. T last week. That was the first time I worked with him, and I did it live, so you could see how that went. And when you're really wanting to learn about training horses, I mean, you might have questions, specific questions to specific situations, but by watching it that way, you're seeing what I'm doing right at the moment, what the horse is doing, and bringing the horse along. So that's what I try to. That's what I try to show.
Would like for you to repeat how you approached and corrected the new horse that was pushing in the stall interaction.
Okay, so I mentioned that Mr. T, when he first came in, he was pushy in the stall. The first time I opened the gate, he tried to push through me. I had the halter in my hand, and I shoot him back away with the halter. In that situation, I'm going to use whatever I have in my hand to make them move their feet. And ask, tell, demand. I used as much pressure, as little pressure as I could get away with, but as much pressure as what necessary. In that situation, that horse, any horse, if you let pushiness get worse and worse and worse, you're going to end up with a dangerous horse in the end. So when I walked in the stall and he come to me, I just kind of shoot him, kind of swung the halter just to back him up, and he kept coming to me. So I ended up taking the halter and I tapped him on the shoulder to back him up and tapped him as hard as it took to make him back up off of me. And a lot of people aren't going to like that. But the thing about it is, if you don't do that, it's going to keep getting worse. And this is real life training situations. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and make it look like something different than what it is. A lot of that, if you let that go, the horse is going to end up in a kill pen. He's going to end up hurting somebody. So I'll be as nice as I can get away with, but as hard as necessary to make the horse, to teach the horse to not hurt you.
My husband loves to love on our horse and says it's not enjoyable to be so serious with our horse all the time. How can you enjoy and pamper a horse without spoiling them? What would you recommend?
Okay, she says her husband loves to enjoy and pamper the horse, and he doesn't like being so serious with him all the time. And I kind of equate that to your child. I mean, you can love and pamper your child, but you still have to teach them discipline and to be productive citizens. I mean, you can love on them all you want, but you have to have boundaries. And you're not just dealing with a toddler; you're dealing with a 1,200 pound animal that can hurt you. So nothing wrong with loving on them, but have boundaries. I've got a lot of videos about boundaries as far as treats and not petting when they're being saddled, and nothing wrong with being good to your horse. Just set boundaries.
This isn't really a question, and if you want to comment, it's Catherine to me.
Okay.
I feel like since I brought my two half brothers home from the boarding barn, the younger one especially has bonded with me more. The older one has already lived here before, so not as noticed.
Okay, Catherine, that's really good. She said she brought her two horses home from boarding, a younger one and an older one, and the younger one has bonded with her really good, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's the first time the younger one has been there at her place. The older one had been there before, and it really didn't connect with her, didn't bond with her as much. And that's really not that uncommon. The older one is going to be a little bit more confident. Some older horses will really want to bond and buddy up, but it's really, he's already mature into the horse he's going to be as a mature horse, where the younger one is still looking for more guidance. It's kind of equivalent to he's still in that herd dynamic where he's wanting help. So that's not really uncommon. Just keep treating both of them good. Keep asking both of them to work, give them a job, and it's all going to fall in place. The younger one, if I'm not mistaken, I think you said the younger one was 3 once before. So horses make a big change at 5 years old. 5 years old, 3 and under, they're very childlike. At 5, they turn into kind of older teenager, like 20-year-olds. They're independent, they're confident, and it's becoming the mature horse that they're going to be. And that 4-year-old year, that's that transition year, and that's why so many horses, that 4-year-old, they're a handful because they're in between. They still want guidance, but they also want to be themselves. So that's very common. Uh, uh, and that's going to vary some from horse to horse. It'll vary some from breed to breed. Some will be a little bit more mature. Some will be a little bit less mature. And I hear all the time, this breed matures late. This breed matures early. There probably is some truth to that, but it's more in how you handle the horse. Sunita in there just turned 3. She's a very immature 3-year-old. Uh, he's 4. He's a very mature 4-year-old, and it's more just kind of how they mature, how they're treated, just them as an individual. It's not really as much breed specific as people would want to say. I hear all kind of stuff about uh, certain breeds, especially Arabians, being slower, mature, and mentally, Arabians, the ones I've worked, mature pretty quick. Physically, they're a little bit slower, but mentally, they mature pretty quick. Mr. T is is a 3-year-old, and he has the uh, mentally, he's more like a 5-year-old. So it's the individual horse more than the breed.
Catherine said, LOL, my younger one is 6 now. He's gotten older since we've been
Oh yeah, he's 6 now. Yeah, Catherine said he's 6 now. Yeah, we have been messaging a while. So probably he's still he's probably just a little bit immature for his age, but he'll come around, and he's probably the older one has probably kept him knocked down in the pecking order a little bit. So he's probably looking for a little bit of a buddy. I bet the older one is more the leader. So yeah.
Gone to a clinic beginning of April. It's with a reigning cow horse trainer. How to prepare so I get the most out of the clinic.
Okay, going to a clinic beginning of April with a rein cow horse clinician. Uh, as far as preparing, there's not a whole lot for you to prepare. I mean, you want your horse uh, as broke as you can have it, as far as you get on the horse and the horse does what you ask it to do. That's really it. The better your horse, just you're going to take instruction. You're going to give that instruction to the horse. There's really nothing as far as things that you can do to help prepare him for the clinic, other than just he needs to be mentally prepared to take direction from you. That's really it. Whatever your horse needs, you and your horse needs at the clinic, the clinician's going to work on it. That's how that should go, and that's why clinics are good, no matter how old your horse is. It's not like you need to have the horse at a certain level before you take him to clinic. I've had people come ride at clinics that they've only had 4 or 5 rides on a horse, and that's kind of fly bothering him. That's not uncommon. So there's nothing really for you to prepare other than he needs to be in a mindset that he takes instruction from you.
Annette says, I love your advice. Do you do live videos weekly?
Okay, Annette, thank you. I do lives every Thursday at 9 o'clock Central Time. Of course, we were late starting this morning, but yes, every Thursday at 9 o'clock Central Time, I do a live. I'm on a horse, and we talk about certain situations, answer your questions. It's usually 45 minutes to an hour long. Last week, I started Mr. T for the first time. That was the first time that I'd worked with him, mainly some groundwork. Since then, I've worked him a lot more. That was a week ago. He's been saddled, groundwork, driven. I have not got on him yet. There's some things that he needs to accomplish before I get on his back. But yeah, I do a live every Thursday at 9 o'clock Central Time.
Okay. Is it true warm bloods mature out later?
Is it true warm bloods mature out later? The ones that I have worked with, no, it's not true. Mentally. Now, physically, they might be later. Mentally, the ones I have worked with, no. Now, if you're overseas, if you're in a different country, different part of the country here, that may not be the case. You might be dealing with different bloodlines than the ones that I've dealt with. But the ones that I have worked with, they especially like Dutch warm bloods. Dutch warm bloods are a lot like riding a quarter horse. They move different, but their minds are very similar. So that's not my experience. So I'm sure other people have different opinions. Um, back to kind of setting up a positive situation for your horse. That's good for your horse to learn. I've talked about you connecting with the horse first when it first comes here. And last week I put out a video in the wash rack about when they are being saddled in the wash rack. Nobody else is to come up and pet the horse. When the horse has his work clothes on, he's not to be petted. Now, after the work is over, you can pet, pamper, brush, bathe, whatever. But that's when you do the pampering. And if you, let's talk about you as an individual. Let's say first thing in the morning, you go to a spa, get a back rub, get a massage, something that really enjoyable, really relaxable, something you really like. You're not going to want to go to work afterwards. You're going to be all relaxed. It's not going to be, you really don't want to go to work. And let's say you're getting in the car and you are driving on vacation, you just pull out the driveway and you get a call from work and you got to go into work instead. It's not going to be good. Your mind is not going to be on work. So you need to have your horse's mind going in the direction it needs to go in at that time. If you're going to get him out and work him, don't give him a massage before. Don't make him think he's going on vacation before. Get him out, put him in wherever you saddle up, brush him, however much he needs to be brushed to be appropriate to saddle him and go ride. Afterwards, that's when you bathe, detangle tails, brush out manes really good. That's when you do the pampering part. Get the horse's mind. Let the horse know what's going to happen. That goes a long ways towards the horse not just knowing what to expect, but mentally being ready to accept training. Just like the question I had a minute ago from the lady that's taking a horse to the clinic for the first time. Your horse needs to be mentally ready to accept instruction. And if your horse is not going to know whether we're going to get on and trot and work maneuvers or whatever, or if it's going to be a bathe and massage day, your horse doesn't know what to prepare for mentally. So that is huge. That's really huge. And I've seen that in a lot of horses that come here. The owner will spend an hour grooming the horse before they ever put the saddle on, and the ride just don't go good. It doesn't necessarily go bad, but it's not very productive, and it all has to do with that horse's mind not being in the right space for what was going to happen.
Okay, Mary that asked about the warm bloods maturing out lately, she said she should have specified she meant physically, and also the other people after the water.
Okay. All right. So as far as the warm bloods, physically they probably do mature out. Mary asked about the warm bloods, about them being late maturing. Physically, they might mature out a little bit later. Mentally, that's not the case. And the question, when you talk about when a horse matures, the question always comes in about at what age do you start a horse? And the answer is going to be you have to start him when his mind tells you he's needed a job. When he's getting in trouble, he's getting pushy, he's acting like he's bored, that's when he needs a job. That's when you need to start him. Now, how mature he is physically, that determines how you start him. That determines what you do with him. Uh, just because mentally he needs a job doesn't mean you're going to put a saddle on him and get on him and buck him out. That's not the right thing to do either. You have to have some balance in there. So people are so extreme. Never start a horse before this age. Always wait till horse is this age to start. And all those always never work. That is Campo scratching his butt. He'll make you move. Yeah, give me another question. He's got a fly on his butt.
What are the best exercises to have him be more respectful and partner, or is there a video to
Okay. A pushy, disrespectful, coming 5-year-old. If he ain't started under saddle, he needs to be started under saddle. He should have already been started under saddle. When you saw that pushy, disrespectful behavior start as a 2 or 3-year-old, that's when he should have been started under saddle. So if he's not started under saddle, he needs to be started. And if he is started under saddle, you need to work him harder. Give him a job. Uh, Teach him to be productive. And the pushy, disrespectful, for the most part, is just going to go away. Uh, that's like Mr. T. I talked about going in the stall, and he tried to run through me to go out in the stall. And I've done groundwork with him. And in the video, I think the video that's coming out tomorrow, which was the first time I saddled him, he still had groundwork issues. He still had disrespectful issues. But I talked in that video about why you could just sit there and dwell on fixing the groundwork issues, and that would it would fix it, but you're not working towards anything. And when you're just putting out this fire, fixing this hole, fixing this hole, fixing this issue, fixing that issue, you have a whole lot of other issues in between that haven't been addressed. And I see so many horses that way that come in with problems. Um, just about all the horses that come in with problems, it's because they were trained that way. They weren't really brought through a program. And that's why I'm a big supporter of every horse needs to go through a training program like me, from starting to working towards showing an event. And whether you want to show that event or not, whether that horse is ever going to show that event or not, that horse needs that complete program, because that's going to be complete training. You're not going to have holes where if you just work on this problem, work on that problem, you're going to be working on problems forever, and the horse is never going to be broke.
do you think it's possible for a 16.2 OCTB to do reined cow work just for fun, not show horse?
Okay, do I think it's possible for a 16-2 off-track thoroughbred to do rein cow work? Uh, it's not impossible, and I have worked some really good thoroughbred horses that were really good on a cow. I had a grandson in Secretariat that I used to team pin on, and he was awesome. He loved cows, really good at it. The problem that you run into with doing cow work on like off-track thoroughbreds is their body is built to run. Their back end more is built to come out to push. It's not really built to come under them to stop like you would ask for a stop on a cow or a rein slide and stop. So it's usually with an off-track thoroughbred, it's the physical limitations that you run across more than the mental limitations. I've had a lot of off-track thoroughbreds here that really like to work cows, and when I get one off the track that has a lot of go, that's usually what I do is I start tracking cows. They lock on the cow, and the cow actually slows them down. So it's not impossible. It can happen, but you're probably going to have issues with stopping and turning.
Okay, love your common sense and the fact that you offer this freely is so great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Shelley, appreciating that I offer this freely, and I do this for several reasons. When you send a horse off to a trainer, wherever that trainer is, as an owner, your thought process is he riding my horse and is he feeding my horse? And that's why I started doing videos to begin with, so that everybody that sent me a horse could see that I'd really working the horse and they were really maintaining their weight. And from that, I was getting a lot of referrals because people wanted their horse in my program. And the videos have kind of changed from that, whereas the horse is in training, the videos that we put out of each horse in training kind of works as a kind of a what you call it, recording their training so the owner can refer back to it if there's issues in the past, and it makes for a good reference. And people that have horses with similar issues can look at the whatever I'm doing with the horse. And then I also, the more specific, in-depth training stuff, like how to teach a spin, how to teach a stop, how to teach specific things. Those videos I post on Patreon. So if you're not a member of Patreon or you want to look at more specific how-to videos, that's where I post those. And usually that's where I go to answer questions because I get a lot of questions every day between YouTube, Facebook, and Patreon. And I answer the questions on Patreon first. Uh, yeah. Oh, and I upload all my lives. I upload to Spotify. So if you're not able to sit and watch this whole video uh, on your phone, you can listen to it on Spotify. Most of my lives, you can get a lot out of it by listening to it on Spotify when you're driving. And a lot of the other videos that are not specific, watching me do specific things, I put those on Spotify too. So if you're interested, there's several ways that you can watch the videos to get what you want specific. And I do a lot of video lessons. Those are through Patreon, and one of the Patreon levels you get a free video lesson a month. So that might be something that you might be interested in. Yeah, that way you get one-on-one instruction with me and you and your horse.
Okay, what is a good safe ratio of weight of rider and time to weight of horse?
There is no such thing. A good safe ratio of horse to rider. There is no such thing because whether you're dealing with a quarter horse, a thoroughbred, an Arabian, their bodies are built different. Quarter horses are going to be bigger boned. Thoroughbreds are going to be finer boned. And you could have you're going to have a 1,000-pound quarter horse that's going to carry a whole lot more weight than a 1,000-pound thoroughbred. So there is no such thing. People try to put a hard rate, a hard percentage on it. It can't be done. And the other factor is how centered the rider is. If you have a well-centered rider, the horse is going to carry more weight than if you have a rider that's off center. And it's just there's no such thing. And I know a lot of us. It's a big deal overseas with a lot of countries wanting to put exact percentages of weight limit on. And when you have all the same type of horse in a country, you might be able to do that. But that's like look at the Mongolian horses. Their ponies, I think they range about 13 hands. They're a short pony, but they carry a lot of weight. They're big boned. They're strong ponies. Fjords are kind of similar, and you can take a fjord and a thoroughbred. They're not going to work the same, and they're not going to carry the same amount of weight. So there is no such thing. People try to do that, but you can't do it.
9:56, so we've only been on about 40 minutes.
Okay, we'll go a little bit longer. I've had a couple people ask about Robert. He hasn't been in any videos lately. My numbers that I have in training are down a little bit, so I had to let him go for a little while, and he got a job locally. Hopefully, one day my numbers will come back up, and I'll hire him back. But honestly, it's kind of nice not having as many horses in the train. So we'll see what happens there. You just shook the bridle over your ear. We'll talk about that for a minute, since it just happened. Shook his head, shook the bridle over his ear. I'm almost exclusively riding in one ear head stalls without a throat latch. And a lot of people, especially on young horses, are not comfortable with that. They're not secure because of that right there. He can flip the bridle right over his head. But remember, we are working towards horses that are going to show. They're going to show ranch, cow horse, reining. They're going to show in something. And most all of my horses, I'm going to show in one ear. That shows the judge that your horse is broke, shows him that you trust the horse, shows him that you got a good horse. And that's all this horse has been ridden in. He came in, we started him, all he's been ridden in is a one ear. And you saw what just happened, and he flipped it over his ear, and it's no big deal. I just pulled it back over. I have had a horse sneeze and sneeze the whole bridle off. But the thing about it is, they sneeze the bridle off, but because of how I teach them to pack the bit stays in their mouth. Even if I put slack on the reins, they're going to keep that in their mouth because I adjust the bit so it's just a little bit below the corners of the mouth. That way the horse can pick the bit up and hold it what's comfortable for them, which helps our communication. And if they do flip it over their head, it's not really a big deal. That's one of the things that a lot of riders worry about. And if your horse is broke, it's not a problem. And it has happened. I've had a couple bridles come off when I'm riding, but it's really not a big deal. And you shouldn't rely on that crutch. There are a lot of crutches that people have that they have to have this in order to be comfortable riding their horse. And a bridle with a throat latch is one crutch that a lot of people have. A round pin to start horses is a crutch. In my opinion, a helmet is a crutch. But that's my opinion. If you will only get on a horse with a helmet on, why do you have that courage and confidence with the helmet and not without the helmet? Now, I understand safety. Man, that all makes sense. But there's more to it there mentally on your part. And that's just my opinion.
I don't give a damn 79 gave us a super chat.
Oh, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that.
Someone said, riding a one-tiered headstall, no stroke latch, after small headstall injury, said low and soft.
Yeah, exactly. She said she was riding in a one ear, no throat latch, wall cantering. It came off, said whoa, and the horse stopped. Your horse should be trained that good. If your horse is not, then you need to get him trained that good. That's the whole point. If you are worried that your bridle is going to come off and something bad is going to happen, you need to get your horse broke so that if your bridle comes off, the bad thing ain't going to happen. You could have a bridle with a throat latch and the bridle could break. The rein could break. There's all kind of stuff that could break. And you should be able to say, whoa, and your horse stop. That's them crutches. You need to, if your horse can't handle that, you need to fix him so he can. That's just a matter of getting the horse broke, in my opinion. So I think we're going to end it for today. This has been Ryder. You saw the videos of us starting him. He was a pretty good handful, but he's turned out to be a really nice horse. Raven has been working cows on him, working tarps and spooky stuff, and throwing a rope. And he's been doing really good. He's turned out to be a really nice horse. If you got any questions, send them to me. If you're interested in Patreon, doing some video lessons or some more in-depth videos, check me out on Patreon. And I appreciate everybody for tuning in today. Until next time, thank you for watching.